The Nintendo Entertainment System was one of the best things that ever happened to me as a kid. So many great games, so many great memories. Not only did the NES bring families together, it also forged friendships and gave new meaning to the word fun. Today I present you with some of the games that helped shape my childhood.
Now you're playing with Power.
Blaster Master is simply timeless. Right from the opening tune and cutscene, you know things are going to be awesome. I played the daylights out of this game, and for good reason. I still go back to it every once in a while for sure. I also own the remake on Steam and Switch, which is a fantastic game, playing homage to the original right nicely. However, I don't think anything beats the original. The idea of piloting a tank that can be upgraded with unique abilities and firepower is something that I need to be playing. These upgrades that you collect will allow you to do many a neat thing, such as hover to reach higher places, swim underwater, generate lightning strikes, and so on. Exploration will require minor backtracking that will lead to other areas. However, in most cases, you'll definitely need the proper vehicular upgrades to do so. The control of the tank that you pilot is very fluid, if not a little slippery, but doable. The level design is really well thought out, with each area you visit having specific environmental hazards with its own level of difficulty and enemies, both in and out of your tank. Exploration presents a unique player experience that has the potential to be challenging and uniquely rewarding, with some places only accessible while out and about, and other places requiring the use of your vehicle. I think it's a nice healthy balance of the two. Boss fights are interesting. In terms of design, some of them can be large, taking up good portions of the screen. Like any boss battle from games of this era, it helps to keep an eye on their patterns. Not to worry though, these fights aren't all that tough as long as you pay attention, and it certainly helps to go into battle with a fully upgraded gun. I remember seeing a cheat in Nintendo Power magazine that allowed you to easily kill some of the bosses by throwing a grenade and pausing the game at the right moment. The longer you kept the game paused, the more damage you dealt, thus ending the boss very easily upon unpausing. You'll know when to unpause when the sound of damaging the boss changes slightly. I used to play this game with the NES Max, an unconventional controller with a circular D-pad design and turbo button functionality, which came in very handy when performing this useful trick. The music is really enjoyable and catchy, part of the game I highly doubt you'll ever forget if you play it enough. The sound effects are fun as well as unique, but not just to this game. You can also hear a good portion of them in Fester's Quest, another Sunsoft title. All in all, Blaster Master is a worthwhile experience that will serve you well if you're looking for a fun adventure, and something worth diving into on the NES. It's an awesome game you should definitely play if you haven't already. This is where it all began, and what a beginning it was. Castlevania, in my opinion, was so unique in its presentation when it first arrived on the scene that you just didn't find other games like it at the time. Powering up your whip was an awesome feature. Seeing how far you could get with it without dying was another thing. Having the ability to collect sub-weapons and hearts was pretty cool, but when you came across a double or triple shot, it was game on. Who can forget that awesome sound effect when collecting a heart, or powering up your whip? These sound effects are so engraved in me that if I were to play a Castlevania game without them, it would just be odd. The game is linear, so you won't find branching paths to explore, but there are secrets from moneybags that give you a higher score to food that replenishes your much-needed health. One of my favorite things about Castlevania is the very colorful and highly detailed box art the game comes packaged in. Its image is that of a classic story quickly unfolding. One of the heroic Simon Belmont about the clash with the forces of darkness that eventually bring an end to the utmost evil that is Dracula. This is some of the best and most iconic artwork you'll ever come across on any NES game packaging, I promise you. The challenge here is deep but welcoming. It's one of those games that will encourage you to return as often as convenience allows, whether you finished it or not, simply because it's a pleasure to play. The music is insanely good. In fact, some of the best music on the NES. Every track is its own mood-provoking atmosphere that draws you in. You'll enjoy every minute of it as you fight your way to the end. Castlevania, even today, still stands as one of the best titles ever released for the NES. It is an instant classic over and over again, waiting to be enjoyed by everyone who dare to dive deeply within. If there's any game that would best describe what gaming was like in the 80s on the NES, it would be a tough call. But Contra would definitely stick out like a sore thumb that has been superglued to the grip of a spread gun. How's that for graphic imagery? Contra is an unforgettable experience from my early days of gaming. It's one of those games that is basically a must-own if you're itching for classic NES gameplay. Almost everyone who has played it more than likely loves it, and won't do without it if collecting for the system. I was in a private school at the time, and whenever we had a break from class or it was the weekend, whoever owned a Nintendo busted it out and immediately got in the zone. Some kid was playing this game on a 13-inch television, and if memory serves, this is how I found out about the infamous Konami code. I can still see the image in my mind of his right thumb mashing the bright red buttons, with the left thumb maneuvering the D-pad, the controller slightly tilted as he held it in the air, the expression on his face as he explained what he was doing, like I was a top student of his in the School of Gaming. I'm pretty sure he said he found out about it in a magazine, most likely Nintendo Power. I was really impressed with his ability to perfectly time the inputs as he got it right nearly every time. This whole cheat code thing was new to me. When it was my turn, it took me a few tries, but I eventually got it down, and all thanks to the master's guidance. With 30 extra lives, I actually had a fighting chance. Contra has always been one of those games that handed me my rear. Sometimes I was alright, advancing a little ways until doom struck. Most of the time there was no advancement, just doom. But I always kept coming back, regardless of whether or not I had a decent run. The first stage's music and layout is permanently etched into my brain to this day. I'm sure of it. So yeah, if that best describes what gaming was like in the 80s on the NES, there you go. Abadox is a side-scrolling shooter that was published by Milton Bradley in North America in 1990. The game is kind of a highly challenging odd duck, if you will. The environments you travel through are essentially a biological mess that was once a planet that was eaten by some parasite alien thing who wants to pull a Unicron and go on an all-you-can-eat buffet by devouring other planets. Some space dudes launch an attack and it doesn't go as well as they hoped. In the process, Princess Maria is swallowed up and you go on a rescue mission. I can't tell what's more original, the story or the name of the girl you have to save. In the end, it doesn't matter anyway, it's a shooter. And the last stage has you flying out of a butthole. That's what matters. If you know anything about this game, then I probably don't need to remind you about how unforgiving it is. You can collect power-ups and speed boosters, but if you get hit once, you lose everything, and have to start over at a checkpoint empty-handed. Definitely not the easiest shooter on the NES, but not unbeatable either. It'll definitely take some practice. If anything, the soundtrack is decent. Here's another game with some more challenge and a bit of a learning curve. This was a game I enjoyed playing more for the music than the gameplay, which is very simply presented and can get stuck in your head. It has some puzzle elements mixed with a bit of platformer. The jumping and running aspect of your character can be a bit frustrating at times, and needs a bit of patience, especially as the challenge ramps up, which starts very early on. Wait until you get to the second level. You'll have fun with the slides. Your main goal is to collect keys that will unlock the way to the next level. You have an oxygen meter which slowly depletes over time, and if you get hit by an enemy, it'll drain really quickly, just like in real life. So be careful where you step. I'm not ashamed of admitting to playing this. It really isn't all that bad. It definitely has an old school vibe going on, and I can appreciate that. Definitely not a bad game, just takes a bit of getting used to. This is Random Battle signing off, and until next time, stay random and battle on.